You ever notice how people say money doesn't grow on trees, like it's this deep ancient truth passed down from the mountain? They say it with that smug look like they've just solved the universe. Money doesn't grow on trees, kid. Yeah, no kidding, pal. It's made from trees. We cut down the trees, flatten 'em out, and then print little pictures of dead presidents on 'em, and somehow that's supposed to make 'em more valuable than the tree was in the first place. That's our logic. We destroy the thing that gives us air, so we can have a thing that gives us anxiety. And have you ever really looked at money? It's this sad little green rectangle, pretending to be powerful. People worship it, fight for it, ruin marriages over it, and it's just fancy wood pulp with ink on it. You can't eat it, you can't drink it, and you can't breathe it. But you can lose your mind over it, and most of us do. The whole system runs on this shared delusion that a piece of paper has value because we agree it does. That's not an economy, that's a group hallucination with good marketing. Now, if money did grow on trees, maybe we'd finally start planting more of the damn things. Imagine that. People out there with little wallets and water cans nurturing their backyard investments. You'd have bankers in overalls whispering sweet nothings to their oak saplings. Come on, baby, give me a little compound interest. You'd see Wall Street traders learning how to compost. Hey, buddy, what's your portfolio look like? Mulch heavy, very eco-diversified. That's when you'd know the world was starting to make sense. But no, we went the other way. We reward people for cutting down the trees, not growing them. We turned forests into furniture, shade into shareholder profits. The more we destroy, the more valuable it becomes. They call it development. I call it demolition with a business plan. We act like nature's this endless buffet. Oh, don't worry, we'll just grow more later. Yeah, except we don't. We grow strip malls, and you can't photosynthesize a strip mall, no matter how many smoothie bars you put inside. It's a funny kind of irony. The tree gives us oxygen, paper, fruit, beauty, shade, and we give it the chainsaw. And then we print $100 bill on its corpse. That's gratitude human style. We're the only species that looks at a tree and thinks that could be furniture or firewood or a profit margin. You never see a squirrel buying stocks in the lumber industry. The squirrel gets it. The squirrel knows the tree is the bank. Our economy, though, rewards the opposite of common sense. You destroy something valuable, you get paid. You preserve it, you get paperwork. Try saving a forest and you're a tree hugger. Try cutting it down and you're a job creator. We even have TV commercials thanking corporations for helping the environment, usually the same ones that wrecked it in the first place. It's like watching a pyromaniac get a medal for fire prevention. Look, folks, we burned down the town, but we saved the fire hydrant. If money actually grew on trees, people would suddenly discover their love for gardening. You'd have suburban dads bragging about their yield. Yeah, my maple's been giving 20s all summer. Got a few 50s sprouting last week. Fertilizer really pays off. Kids would finally get an allowance that comes with watering instructions. Don't spend it all, Timmy, and for God's sake, prune your savings account. The Federal Reserve would have a forestry department. We're seeing strong growth in the western oaks, but the elms are in recession. And here's the kicker, the phrase money doesn't grow on trees was meant to teach responsibility, but all it really did was teach us to chase money instead of grow it. We're taught to climb the ladder, not plant the orchard. The result, we've got people climbing over each other for a handful of leaves while the forest burns behind them. Nobody's stopping to think, hey, maybe we could just grow more trees. Now, I'm not saying we should all go out and start planting $50 trees, though if someone figures that out, I want stock options. I'm saying maybe it's time we flip the script. What if the things that really sustain life were the ones that paid us back? Clean air, clean water, happy people, Crazy concept, right? Paying people to heal the planet instead of hurt it. That's the kind of system where money truly would grow on trees because value would come from life, not loss. But right now, we live in this upside-down world where a tree is worth more dead than alive, where oil's got more clout than oxygen, and where success is measured by how much you take, not how much you give back. It's like rewarding a kid for eating all the cookies and scolding the one who saved a few for later. We've confused greed with genius, so maybe it's not that money doesn't grow on trees, maybe it used to, and we just got too good at cutting it down. Maybe every tree we felled was another chance to live a little smarter, but we traded it for a few quick bucks and a parking lot. And now we walk around with wallets full of flattened forests, wondering why everything feels a little emptier. You ever notice how when people say the economy's growing, the planet's usually shrinking? Funny coincidence, huh? Growth used to mean something alive, trees, children, ideas. Now it just means numbers going up on a screen somewhere. We measure success in digits, not decency, and we act like we can keep inflating forever, as if the planet's got an infinite credit line. Newsflash, Mother Nature doesn't take IOU, she's got her own collection agency, and she doesn't mess around. Still, I like the fantasy, money trees. Imagine how poetic that would be, wealth that literally grows, nurtured by sunlight and care. You want to be rich, you've got to water it, you've got to give it time. You can't cheat the process, you can't bail it out, and when it bears fruit, you share it, because if everyone's got a tree, nobody's poor. You can't monopolize sunlight, you can't corner the market on rain. That's real equality, nature's version of universal income. So maybe when we say money doesn't grow on trees, what we really mean is, we made sure it couldn't. We built a whole system to stop that from happening. Because if it did, we wouldn't need all the middlemen, the fine print, the big fancy offices. We wouldn't need the illusion. We just need the trees and a little common sense, and that's what makes it funny and tragic at the same time. We could have had a world where wealth grew quietly in the backyard and everyone had enough. Instead, we've got stock markets, hedge funds, and a planet on the brink. All because we forgot the simplest truth. Everything that matters already grows on trees: the air, the shade, the fruit, the paper for your paycheck. The only thing missing is the wisdom to see it. You know, everybody loves to talk about growth. Politicians, businessmen, economists, they all get that sparkle in their eyes when they say it. We need more growth. You ever notice that? Nobody ever says we need balance or we need enough. No, it's always growth. It's the magic word. Growth is like a religion, but they never say what they want to grow. Because if it's your rent, your debt, or your waistline, that's not the kind of growth you were hoping for. The economy's been growing for decades, and so has the pile of junk in landfills. Congratulations, humanity, you did it. The planet's choking, but the GDP smiling. We've somehow confused the two. We think if we sell more, build more, dig more, and burn more, that's progress. That's like a guy bragging his house is growing because the termites are doing well. Growth for growth's sake is the philosophy of a tumor, not a civilization. Now, imagine if we took that obsession with growth and pointed it somewhere that actually made sense. Imagine an economy that literally grows, where planting a tree, cleaning a river, or keeping the air clean actually paid you back. You wouldn't need a stockbroker, you'd need a shovel. That's what I call the green economy, not the kind where the CEO get richer for changing the color of their logo to emerald, but the kind where green actually means something alive. Think about it. What if your paycheck came from photosynthesis? What if your investment portfolio was a forest? Every dollar you earned would have roots, actual roots, keeping the soil in place, making oxygen, feeding bees, shading kids, and still making you money. That's a growth model that even a squirrel could get behind, but no, our current system doesn't like that. We want returns, quick ones, fast money, no patience, no planting. We're like toddlers with a credit card. I want it now. That's why we pour billions into digging holes for oil, but forget to water the plants we already have. The irony, if we just let the trees do their thing, they'd pull carbon out of the air for free. But free doesn't make shareholders happy. Where's the profit? They ask. The profit's in the atmosphere. Genius, you just can't fit it on a spreadsheet. And let's talk about those spreadsheets. Have you seen the way economists talk about nature? It's like it's an optional extra, environmental impact. That's the polite term for we wrecked the joint, but the numbers look good. You'd think at some point they'd notice you can't have an economy without a planet to put it on. But no, they keep treating nature like it's a subsidiary. Earth Inc., the only business where you can't afford to go bankrupt, and we're somehow still managing to. Now, picture a different world. Instead of oil futures, we'd have tree futures. A maple sapling would be a blue-chip investment. Kids would be begging their parents, "Can I get a rainforest for my birthday?" We'd have carbon credits that actually meant something, not just fancy math on a balance sheet. You'd have companies bragging, "We're up 12% in biodiversity this quarter." That's growth I could believe in, and the beauty of it, it wouldn't even take that much imagination. We already know how to make energy from sunlight, how to recycle, how to build things that don't fall apart in 6 months. But we don't do it because the system's set up to reward waste. Built-in obsolescence, what a phrase. You buy something and they design it to die. They could make a washing machine that lasts 30 years, but then who's gonna buy another one next year? So they build one that breaks just after the warranty ends. That's not growth. That's planned stupidity. But in a world where we invested in actual growth trees, wind, solar, soil, every act of creation would pay off. Imagine getting dividends in fresh air and stable weather. Congratulations, your neighborhood just matured 10% in oxygen. It's the kind of thing we should already be celebrating, but instead we give awards to the people who made the most plastic. And here's the funny part, humans love to make metaphors about planting seeds. Let's plant the seeds of innovation, they say. Let's cultivate opportunity. But then when it comes time to actually plant something, they pave it over. We're the only species that gives motivational speeches about gardening and then replaces the yard with asphalt. The truth is, a tree is the original entrepreneur. It starts with nothing, it grows slow, steady, reinvests in its environment, and creates value for everyone around it. It gives shade, fruit, and shelter, and it doesn't even send you a bill. Meanwhile, we call ourselves the smart species, and we're the ones paying for bottled water because we polluted the free stuff. We've got to stop calling destruction development. You build a new mall, you call it progress. You save a wetland, you call it sentimental, but which one actually produces something lasting? A shopping mall has a shelf life, nature doesn't. We're so obsessed with quarterly profits that we can't think past the next fiscal year. Trees think in centuries, they've got patience, they've got perspective. If they could talk, they'd probably tell us, "Hey, slow down, breathe, we're literally working on that for you." What if growth meant healing? What if every dollar made the planet a little greener instead of a little grayer? That's a future where success doesn't mean excess. You don't measure it in how much you have, but in how much thrives around you. An economy based on regeneration instead of exploitation, that's not some hippie dream. That's basic survival with good branding, and you know what would happen if we did that. People would start feeling better. Not just financially, but mentally, because let's face it, no one ever got truly happy staring at a bank statement. But you plant a tree, you water it, and one day you see it grow that does something to your soul. That's profit you can feel. We could have green jobs, green cities, green everything, not just in color, but in spirit. Jobs that don't just pay the bills, but give something back. Because right now, we're like house guests who have overstayed their welcome, eating everything in the fridge and wondering why the lights went out. We could be caretakers instead, investors in something real. You know, there's this funny phrase, money talks. Yeah, it talks, it usually says goodbye. But imagine if money grew, if every dollar represented something alive, a tree, a clean river, a healthy field. Then when money talked, it'd say something worth hearing. It'd say, thank you. It'd say, you did good. And maybe that's what real growth should sound like. Not the buzz of stock tickers, not the hum of factories, but the quiet sound of leaves rustling, wealth breathing. Because the best kind of economy doesn't just grow, it gives back. You ever notice how we've built a world where everyone's afraid there's not enough to go around? Not enough money, not enough jobs, not enough time, not enough likes, for crying out loud. We live in a culture of scarcity. Even when we've got too much, it's never enough. You got 3 TV, you want a bigger one. You got a phone, now you need one that folds in half, glows in the dark, and talks to your dog. The whole system runs on convincing you that you're one purchase away from happiness, and that purchase, conveniently, is on sale for a limited time only. We've forgotten how to steward what we have. Stewardship, remember that word, sounds biblical, doesn't it? Like something your grandmother said before she smacked you for wasting food. Stewardship just means taking care of stuff, the planet, each other, even yourself. But we don't take care of things anymore. We replace them. Don't fix it, upgrade it. That's the slogan of modern civilization. We don't grow our wealth, we consume it, then wonder why we feel empty. If money actually did grow on trees, we'd finally learn patience again. You can't rush a tree, you can't microwave an oak. You plant it, you water it, you wait. You want instant results. Tough luck, nature doesn't do express delivery. But that's the beauty of it. Trees understand timing. They know when to shed, when to grow, when to rest. Humans, we're shedding money year, and wondering why we're bald. We treat the earth like it's a store that never closes. Oh, we'll just grab a little more oil, a little more gas, a few more fish, it's fine, there's plenty. Yeah, until there isn't, and then we act surprised. Nobody told us this would happen. Everyone told you, you just didn't want to hear it over the sound of the cash register. We're like kids who ate all the cookies and then start blaming the cookie jar. And we've somehow convinced ourselves that greed is ambition. Go-getters. That's what we call the people who take everything. Oh, he's a go-getter, that one. Yeah, he got it all, the air, the water, your pension, your week, and all of it. We don't need more go-getters. We need some give-backers. People who understand that success isn't about how much you can hoard, but how much you can grow. Think about it, we've got billionaires trying to change the world. They hold conferences, make speeches, fly private jets to environmental summits because nothing says save the planet like burning 1,000 gallons of jet fuel to talk about recycling. You want to change the world. Plant a few trees and stop pretending your spreadsheet is the rainforest. The planet doesn't need more vision statements. It needs someone with a rake and some common sense. We've got this attitude that if it doesn't make a profit, it doesn't matter. That's the root of it, no pun intended. We've trained ourselves to believe that value only exists if it's got a dollar sign attached. The forest isn't valuable until we cut it down. The ocean isn't productive unless we drill under it. The sky isn't useful unless it's advertising something. It's insanity. If aliens ever land, they'll take one look around and say, so these are the smartest creatures, the ones suffocating in their own progress. Then they'll leave without saying goodbye, and the saddest part is, most people want to do the right thing. They want to recycle, they want to conserve, they want to be responsible, but the system doesn't reward that. You throw something in the trash, it's easy, you recycle it, suddenly you're in a relationship with 3 different bins and a schedule. Plastic on Tuesday, glass every other Friday, paper on the 3rd lunar cycle. No wonder people give up. We make doing good feel like doing homework. If we actually designed our economy to reward stewardship, to pay people for caring, imagine how different the world would be. You clean up your neighborhood, you get a bonus. You plant trees, you get tax breaks. You help restore a wetland, and boom, you just got a raise. That's the kind of job I want. What do you do for a living? I make air. You'd have kids growing up dreaming of being arborists instead of influencers. I want to go viral. Great kid, start by planting some vines. But no, we glorify the wrong heroes, the ones who make headlines for making money, not making a difference. You save a river nobody notices. You build a factory that pollutes the river, they give you a ribbon, cutting ceremony, and name a bridge after you. That's our culture. Reward the damage, ignore the healing. We're like a family that keeps giving the drunk uncle another beer and wondering why dinner's ruined. It's not that we're doomed, we're just distracted. Too busy chasing shiny things to realize that the real treasures are right in front of us. The soil, the water, the trees, the people. Real wealth isn't stored in banks. It's growing in backyards, flowing in rivers, breathing in forests. But you can't fit that in a vault, so we pretend it's worthless. That's what happens when a species starts mistaking money for meaning. Imagine if we turned that around. Imagine if being rich meant something different, not having the most, but giving the most back. The richest person in town wouldn't be the guy with the mansion. It'd be the one who made the place better for everyone else. The person who planted orchards, restored lakes, kept bees, built parks. Someone who left the world a little greener than they found it. That's wealth that lasts longer than a balance sheet. You can't eat gold, you can't drink oil, you can't breathe money, but you can live off a world that's cared for. Stewardship isn't about hugging trees, it's about not being stupid. You take care of the world, it takes care of you. It's the world's oldest deal, literally written in the dirt. The shift isn't complicated. It's not about being a saint. It's just about asking one simple question. Does this make things better or worse? You don't need a PhD in economics to figure that out. You just need common sense, the one resource we seem to be running out of faster than oil. We've been living like renters on a property we think we own. But here's the truth, we're not owners, we're guests. And if we want to keep the lease, we might want to start cleaning up after ourselves, because the landlord nature has a long memory and no tolerance for nonsense. And maybe that's what it comes down to. We can keep living like everything's scarce, like we've got to grab all we can before someone else does, or we can live like stewards, trusting that when we give back, there'll always be enough to go around. Scarcity is fear, stewardship is faith. One hoards, the other grows, because in the end, the planet doesn't need us to save it, it just needs us to stop acting like spoiled tenants and start acting like caretakers again.